Hi, my name is Noah Drew, and we're coming to you today from the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth. Joining me is Dr. Teresa Wagner, who is a clinical executive with Safer Care Texas and also an assistant professor in the Department of Lifestyle and Health Sciences. She's also a registered dietitian, and so we're going to be talking today about maintaining proper nutrition amongst COVID-19 and giving some tips about how we can stay healthy. So Dr. Wagner, I would love for you to just give us a quick overview of a couple things that we can do to keep people mindful about nutrition right now.
Well, Noah, my first three tips really are to remember to have regular meals, to provide plants, and to maintain my plate balance.
Why is it important to eat regular meals?
Well, we all should eat regular meals anyway, but when we're all staying home, we might have a tendency to sleep late or not maintain a regular schedule. So it becomes important to make sure that you are maintaining that regular schedule, especially if you're dealing with a chronic disease such as diabetes or high blood pressure, where it's important for you to eat at regular times every day. But we also don't want to be sitting around mindlessly snacking while we're home either.
Sure.
With the gyms closed down, we need to be sure we're active as a family, but also we might have the tendency to eat because we're bored rather than just because we're hungry. So when we do have scheduled snacks, it's important for them to be nutritious. So things like peanut butter and crackers, yogurt and fruit, snacks like that, nuts and a banana that provide some nutrition rather than just calories.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. What about plants and the importance to continue to eat fresh produce? Sometimes it's hard right now to find fresh fruits and vegetables. How can we address that issue?
Right, and it's also hard to keep them at home when you don't know how long you're going to be home. So when you use fruits and vegetables that are canned, frozen, or dried, they stay on the shelf longer. So they have what we call a longer shelf life. So we can store them for a longer period of time and then pull them out a little bit at a time to make nutritious recipes. So not only dried fruits and vegetables, but also dried grains like oatmeal and rice and quinoa. And then beans and peas also provide a good source of protein while providing that fiber, but also those vitamins and minerals that we look to vegetables to provide. The American Heart Association has a website dedicated to how to eat healthy during COVID-19. And they have recipes such as 3-bean vegetarian chili and then also like a slow cooker barbecued chicken. So it's a good way to make sure that your family's still getting those nutritious meals that are balanced and provide those fruits and vegetables that we should be eating anyway.
You mentioned finding protein sources from peas and beans. What other plant-based protein sources are there out there if we're having trouble finding fresh or frozen meat on the grocery store shelves?
Right, and I've been to the grocery store and I know it's really hard to find meat right now. So yes, it's important to use those plant-based proteins, and the great thing is you can find grains and beans that you can combine to have what we call a complete protein. Quinoa is actually a complete protein by itself, but you can also combine red beans and rice or refried beans and tortillas or hummus and crackers or hummus and bread. There's a large variety of different ways that we can combine plant proteins to make sure that we have a good source of protein. And protein is really important when we talk about building immunity or staying healthy and being able to fight off disease during this time and all the time, really. But it's also important to get those fruits and vegetables because they provide those other vitamins and minerals that work along with protein to help us keep our immune system healthy.
Perfect, okay. What do you mean by balance and my plate? I see that you brought something with you.
Right. So My Plate comes from the website choosemyplate.gov, which is a great resource for families all the time, but especially during this time, and even if you're living by yourself and want to continue to maintain your nutrition. So what it does is it divides our plate, and we know that we should be having half of our plate as fruits and vegetables, but then we have a quarter grains and a quarter protein, and this serves as a great guide when we're at home and we're trying to figure out, okay, what should I be eating? Because a lot of us grabbed like convenience foods and things to get through this time. Well, if you use a convenience entree, for example, go ahead and add some fruits and vegetables, whether it's from the dried or if you happen to have some fresh on hand. frozen. I went and bought a package of frozen cauliflower and broccoli and carrots mixed together just so I can pull them out a little bit at a time. And then include your grain, whether that's bread, rice, potatoes, count as in the starch category. And make sure you have your dairy, so that's milk, cheese, or yogurt. But also, if depending on what your preferences or restrictions are, you can use a plant-based dairy item. Also for protein, again, if you don't eat meat or fish or poultry, you can use a plant-based protein as well. So just making sure that you have that good balance that's going to provide you with the nutrients that you need to stay healthy and well during this time, maintain your weight, and continue to be active with the family.
You mentioned a little bit about making variations to your diet if you have restrictions or perhaps allergies. What if people are vegan or gluten-free or have food allergies? How can they cope with the situation that we're living with right now?
Well, like I mentioned, it's easy if you know and have been living with those for a while to make those substitutions. And also, if you're making recipes at home and you don't have certain ingredients on hand, you can substitute other ingredients. Let's say it calls for kidney beans. Well, you can use black beans instead. May not taste exactly the same, but it's a good way to make substitutions. But just knowing what your particular concerns are and still paying attention to those during this time and modifying based on that. Now, I know that a lot of registered dietitians are giving the option of telehealth right now. So if you're not able to see your regular provider, that is an option. There's websites, the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, the American Dietetic Association, all have information on their websites for people who are living with a chronic disease to get the information that they need specific to themselves.
Perfect. Dr. Wagner, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. To those of you at home, if you want more information about COVID-19, please visit the website below to stay up to date with the best and latest information that the Health Science Center has to offer. And if you have other questions or issues that you'd like us to address relative to COVID-19, just drop us an email at the link below, and we'll try and get to it as soon as we can.